Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. And we're back. I'm back from vacation, and we are now ready to start with our next Battlefleet Gothic special, which is the one thing that a lot of people feel, and I can agree to some level, should have done first. The reason why I didn't do this first is because, well, I was planning to, but then people kept asking for me to do different types of videos, so I decided my battle report kind of had the rules explained in it, and I felt I wanted to give what was requested over what I feel I wanted to do. So now I've done everything else that I can possibly think of for Battlefleet Gothic, so we're now going to talk about the rules for Battlefleet Gothic. And now the first thing we're going to first do is this: what you need to play the game. You need the rules, which you can get off of the Games Workshop website, and that's the rulebook I'm using, the one that comes straight from GW's website. In case anyone asks or say, oh, you know, this is different, you know, this is the book that I decided to go with, and so that's the rules I'm going to be talking about. You're going to need a tape measure, and one specifically with centimeters listed on the side of it, because the game runs in centimeters. You're also going to need a table and your army. I tend to keep my Battlefleet Gothic army in a handgun case because it's nice and small and only and it's $10 and it holds a good chunk of models in it. And so now you're also going to need to understand a few concepts about the game before we start. And the first thing is the concept of model placement. Now let me get out a model to demonstrate this. Because space is so vast and so big, the game decided it's got to kind of give a it's got to kind of define the the size of things a little better, and explain how you can have planets and terrain in there. So basically, the model that you see is a large-scale blow-up of where the ship actually is. It's supposed to represent that this is a giant holodeck or something like that, and you're seeing the ships on a giant battlefield, and they're being displayed out so you can identify which ship class is which. So for all extensive purposes, this stem right here is where the ship actually is, and this the base stand is considered the close proximity. This is where fighters, bombers, and torpedoes and celestial events have to be able to touch in order to count as being effective of the target. When it comes to direct weapon fire, like weapon batteries and lances, you have to aim for the stem of the ship. And when you're firing or when you're moving the ship, you always measure from the stem of the ship, not from the tip or the model itself or from the case here. This is if if a torpedo template touches it, or bomber templates touch it, or anything like that, or asteroid field touches it. That's when the ship can be affected by those types of events. Another thing to understand is 3D in a 2D dimensional scale. What this means is basically they're saying that space is a three-dimensional environment, and because of that, it's really hard to discern rules where you can go up, down, left, right, forward, back, and so they kept the game rules on a flat surface like the Warhammer, like their 40K and their fantasy, but decided instead to have it representing the three-dimensionals. Whoops, there goes my ship. Don't worry, it happens all the time. So to represent that, when a ship passes by, contacting into a ship doesn't necessarily mean it actually hits it. It could be, for example, like this ship could just be up here technically, and it could be going up and then fly up and over the ship itself. It can also represent the ship adjusting upwards so it can fire past a ship that's in front of it. So basically what they're saying is the ship in front of you doesn't block line of fire or anything like that. Only physical objects on the field, like planets and asteroid fields and such, really generate any type of line of effect like that. The only exception to this is, like, say, torpedoes and bombers and such, but ships could literally pass over another ship and be totally fine. That's to represent ships taking evasive action to adjust their levels to get out of the way of other vessels and such. And so that is basically that for those distinguishing purposes. The next thing that we're going to need is, one second, you're also going to need a variety of other gaming tools. You're going to need D6s. You're going to need blast templates. Now, they used to make these in like a starter kit for Battlefield Gothic, but they kind of got rid of it. What you can do is you can purchase, well, you can download a picture of the, the templates, and what I did like here for my torpedoes one is I took a thin piece of plastic card and I then glued it to the back of the torpedo sheet. I cut out the torpedo sheet and then placed a line of tape, packaging tape, over it to kind of do a really poor man's lamination trick on it. And that's how you can produce pretty much any of these kinds of markers and such, and a bearing compass, which also works as a blast template for the Nova cannon. And the bearing compass, again, same deal. What I do a lot of times now is I paint the bearing compass onto my stand so the bearing compass is constantly on the ship itself. The only trick to that is what I usually do is I just line it up on what they do is with a piece of paper version that you can download off Games Workshop's website, is it has a little crosshair in the dead center of it, so if you can sit there and you're patient enough, you can line it up just right with that on the center and line it up just like that, where you line it up, and then you can paint the bearing compass on it as long as you can get the dead center onto the center of the stand here. And they used to make these things called, I'm not sure if they're still available or not, called orders dice. They were dice that represented which type of special order your ship was under, and they don't really usually have them as far as I'm aware, so you just have to make like a chart or something to help make sure you remember which ships are under what special orders. You're going to need a fleet registry sheet. I don't have one available right now, but it's basically a chart that you have listed down your ship's name, its armaments, how many hit points, how many turrets, what's its shields, its turns, its movement, its name, and all that good information. And it would also be helpful to have a quick reference sheet. This is a sheet that's in the Gothic handbook. I believe on the website it's its own special link that basically sums up all the rules and just sums up all the special orders, the turns and what is done in each turn, and a weapons chart, and a catastrophic chart, and a critical damage chart on it. And once you have that all set up, you can get set up for the next part of the game. And we are running out of time, so I'm going to put this on another video. So until next time, this is Helios Raven signing off.